just a challenge or a question that Karen could address for you as far as keeping your team engaged right now with all of this change?
Mm-hmm. A big thing for us is their fear, which I don't share. So I have trouble giving it merit. And yet at the same time, I don't want to completely disregard their fear. If there's a job to be done, they need to do it. So how do I address their fears? And we are giving them the equipment they need, but they're still holding off on doing some jobs.
Yeah, Shelli, I love that question because it's so real. And I find myself able to go into the fear segment of this really easily. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that my dad taught me, which coincidentally, my dad was illiterate and I didn't know it until I was an adult. He taught me that people don't listen unless they ask to be told. I know. Isn't it so good? And so what I've started practicing from that and what I coach people with is asking 3 questions before you make a statement. So when you find that somebody is in fear, you can say, where did you get that information? How does that make you feel? What do you want to do with that information that you have? And just ask them some questions. And then you can say, well, it's just dumb and dumb.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Right. Maybe don't say that, but ask them the 3 questions and then they'll know that you care and you can give them comfort in your statements and maybe taking away a little bit of that and saying, okay, let me show you this from the CDC that negates that, but you have to ask the question first or they won't listen. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And when you first made that statement, I had to think about it for a minute, but it makes perfect sense. And I like the idea of asking them the questions.
Yeah. And you can almost always ask them the final question of what do you want to do about that or how do you want to handle it? And it reminds them that they have power because what people are most scared of right now is that they don't have power. This has all been forced on them and the power is taken away. But when you say, what do you want to do? And how can I support you? You'll find that changes that a great deal.
I like that. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, that's my dad.
Well, I love Dad's advice. I also love you reiterating it and articulating it for us, Karen. And that does hit on the point that we talked about, control, and how control can do some crazy things to our brains. Another thing about asking that question, right, is we know when somebody's in a fear mode, they're not usually thinking very logically, right? Their emotions are going crazy and they're scared. And so by asking them questions, it actually makes you pull all of that energy from the limbic system to your prefrontal cortex, where you have to be logical. So you're actually kind of coaching them into a more even kind of pragmatic space by them just changing the dynamic of the brain right in that easy moment. So such a great and really easy tip. Just ask them some questions so that they can get out of their limbic system, and also remind them that they have a choice and they have control on this too, because it sure doesn't feel like it sometimes, which doesn't feel good. Shelli, thank you so much for joining us. We just adore you, and we're so grateful to have you in our community. And of course, Karen Gross and Zen Perry, thank you again for talking with us about employee engagement and just sharing your wisdom and knowledge. So again, this is Karen Miller with BillingsWorks, and this is your Employee Engagement Through Change mini-series. We will continue to bring you short little snippets so that you can be sure to keep your team leaning in right now and being productive through this time of change. So we look forward to seeing you through a screen soon. Thanks.
Thank you.